South America, as a continent, or half-continent, is home to 12 independent countries, 2 British overseas territories disputed with Argentina, and French Guiana, an integral part of France. But South America's map hasn't always looked like this, and several countries have come and gone from South America through its history, from medieval megastates to postcolonial confederations to separatist strongholds. We're going to take a look at those forgotten countries today, some famous and some you likely have never heard of. Let's explore. This video is part of a collaboration with Ghost Countries. More on that later. The most famous South American state from before European contact is the Inca Empire, or Tawantinsuyu, which lasted from 1438 to the conquest of its final territory by Spain in 1572. Others include the Muisca Confederation and smaller groups across the continent. During colonization, South America was divided primarily between Portuguese Brazil and the Spanish in the south and west. French, British, and Dutch colonies in the northern Amazon eventually became French Guiana and the countries of Guyana and Suriname. But many colonies didn't become countries, including France Antarctique, Equinoctial France, Dutch Brazil, and the German Welser family colony of Klein Venedig. Tuscany and the minuscule county of Hanau tried and failed to establish colonies as well. South America in the 17th and 18th centuries saw indigenous rebellions in the Andes, including those of Juan Santos Atahualpa from 1742 to 1752, and Tupac Amaru II and Tupac Katari in the early 1780s. Escaped African slaves created self-governing communities called palenques in Spanish colonies, and moquembos and quilombos in Brazil, most famously Palmares, but these claimed freedom from bondage rather than statehood. Enslaved Africans also staged revolts, such as the Berbice slave uprising in Dutch-controlled Guyana in 1763. The revolts by colonists in the era either didn't claim independence like the Quito Revolt of 1765, didn't control territory like the 1789 Inconfidencia Minera and the 1798 Taylor's Conspiracy, or didn't do either. That all changed when Napoleon occupied Portugal in 1807 and Spain in 1808. The Portuguese monarchy escaped to Brazil, setting up court in Rio de Janeiro, while Spain's King Ferdinand VII was captured by the French. Several Spanish colonies responded by creating local governments, or juntas, purporting to act in the name of the captured king, but many ended up declaring full independence, especially after Napoleon was ousted from Spain and Ferdinand was reinstated in 1813. In the Viceroyalty of New Granada, modern Colombia, there were many feuding self-declared countries, including Cundinamarca, Cauca Valley, and the United Provinces of New Granada, while the First Republic of Venezuela was founded next door. The region's full independence would come at the hands of Simón Bolívar, who spent the 1810s crossing the region playing whack-a-royalist and whack-a-rival with his armies, establishing 2 more Venezuelan republics, consolidating New Granada, and in 1819 merging the two under the Republic of Colombia, known to historians as Gran Colombia. Over in the Viceroyalty of Peru, the Spanish successfully stamp out the 1814 Cuzco Revolt, establishing a royalist stronghold, threatening both Gran Colombia and the newly independent countries in the south in what would later be called the Southern Cone. Speaking of the Southern Cone, wait, is that a ghost? Oh, it's Ghost Countries. Hello.
Hello. I heard you were talking about the Southern Cone.
Well, yeah. I was just telling everyone that this video is part of a collaboration with your channel, and that in your video you'd be covering the forgotten countries in the Southern Cone, which is all of these parts of South America. Since you're here, why not tell everyone about your channel in your video?
Hey, thanks, man. If you haven't heard of our channel before, we're called Ghost Countries, and we cover all manner of things from countries that no longer exist to those that have limited recognition and even those that might exist in the near future. We're always open to suggestions, so if there's a particular country you'd like to see covered at some point, just let us know. So if that sounds interesting to you, consider checking out our channel, and if you'd like to learn more about countries that no longer exist in the Southern Cone, consider checking out our video that we did in collab here. That is, after you finish this video, of course.
Thanks, Ghost Countries. There'll be a link to their video at the end of this one and in the description. So, in 1820, the newly independent Chile and the United Provinces of the Rio de la Plata, the future Argentina, land an expeditionary force in Peru, establishing the Protectorate of Peru under General José de San Martín. To the north in the Audiencia of Quito, modern Ecuador, the city of Guayaquil declares independence from the Spanish, which it achieves with the help of Gran Colombia, before being absorbed by it in 1822. That July, San Martin and Bolivar meet in Guayaquil, placing Bolivar in charge of defeating the remaining royalists in Peru. Bolivar is declared dictator of Peru in 1824, successfully liberates the nation after a brief royalist comeback, and in 1827 is also named president of the newly independent Alto Peru, which changes its name to Bolivar and then to Bolivia. It turns out simultaneously governing three countries is pretty hard, so Bolivar places his ally, Antonio José de Sucre, in charge of Bolivia, a council in charge of Peru, leaves for Gran Colombia, and watches everything start to fall apart when his council is overthrown. By the end of 1830, Sucre has been murdered, and Bolivar himself dies of tuberculosis, or maybe something else. Gran Colombia dissolves into the Fourth Republic of Venezuela, the Republic of Ecuador, and the Republic of New Granada, which went through a few governments before becoming today's Republic of Colombia in 1886, with Panama separating in 1903. Peru and Bolivia formed the Peru-Bolivian Confederation in 1836 under Andrés de Santa Cruz, who had headed Bolivar's council in Peru and briefly served as Peru's president. After becoming president of Bolivia in 1829, Santa Cruz intervened in Peru's ongoing civil war, forming the Confederation and dividing Peru into northern and southern Peru. Chile and Argentina saw the Confederation as a threat, and invaded alongside some of the Civil War's losers, dissolving the Confederation and reuniting Peru in 1839. Also in Peru, the Loreto region rebelled 3 times, in 1896, 1899, and 1921, though only the 1899 Jungle Republic declared full independence, the others claiming autonomy within Peru. Meanwhile, Brazil. As mentioned, Portugal's monarchy ruled from Rio de Janeiro starting in 1808. This didn't entirely stop independence seekers, such as the Pernambucan Revolt of 1817. When King John VI returned to Portugal in 1821, he left his son Prince Pedro as regent in Brazil. The Portuguese Cortes legislature started reducing Brazil's autonomy, and on September 7, 1822, ordered Pedro to return to Portugal. Instead, Pedro and Brazil declared independence as the Empire of Brazil. After Brazil defeated and ousted Portugal's garrisons, Portugal recognized Brazil's independence in an 1825 treaty. Even before the war's official end, separatist revolts began. The first was the 1824 Confederation of the Equator in the country's northeast, followed by the 1832 Guanais Revolt and the larger 1837 Sabinada in Bahia, the Cabanagem Revolt in Para from 1835 to 1840, the Balaiada in Maranhão from 1838 to 1841, and the 1842 liberal revolts in Minas Gerais and São Paulo. There were also slave revolts, like the 1835 Malay Revolt, staged by several Muslim slaves and freedmen in Bahia, and many revolts that didn't declare independence, my favorite being the 1874 Revolt of the Quebraquilos, or kilogram smashers, against the metric system, or really the price gouging and high taxes that it enabled. Brazil's government changed several times thereafter, including becoming a republic in 1889, but there weren't any other major secessions in the north. The Republic of Independent Guiana, or Cunani, was declared in 1886 in a disputed border region of Brazil and French Guiana, but it lacked foreign support and didn't last, though there were attempts to revive it at least through World War I. The Republic of Acre, that declared independence from Bolivia in 1899, tried to join Brazil, but the Brazilian government refused and helped put the revolt down. In 1900, Acre pulled the same trick again, and was again put down. Entirely undeterred, they tried once again in 1903. The third time was the charm, and Brazil signed a new treaty with Bolivia, trading Acre for land further south, a railroad, and 2 million British pounds. There have been fewer separatist movements across South America within the past century. In Colombia, some guerrilla groups have held rural territory, though with the goal of regime change rather than independence. In Guyana, there's the Rupununi Uprising, which seceded in 1969, about 3 years after Guyana's independence from the UK, but was put down in a matter of days after failing to gain Venezuela's support. Finally, Micronations. The Dominion of Melchizedek claimed the Colombian island of Malpelo in 1990, and is best known for supposed citizens committing bank fraud. There's also the Principality of Trinidad, where an American declared himself prince of a then unclaimed Atlantic island in 1893, After a basically unrelated incident between Brazil and the UK, the island became Brazilian under the name Trinidade. So these countries across South America may not be visible on a map today, but their existence and the historical forces that created them have shaped the nations and people that have persisted. Be sure to check out Ghost Country's video on the Southern Cone, share your feedback in the comments, and subscribe if you want to see more like this. And as always, thanks for watching.